Last week's elections showed that a lot of American voters are feeling left out, and many are afraid for their jobs. Matt McFarland, who writes for CNN Tech, says this is going to get worse before it gets better, and he's joining us to talk about it. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Thank you for having me.
So you wrote a piece today, and you said looming technological advances will wipe out more jobs, broadening the base of disenfranchised, unemployable, and frustrated citizens. Can you talk about why technology makes it unlikely that Trump will be able to back his promise to bring back jobs from overseas?
Right, yeah, so there are just really large forces at work here. We're just seeing innovation happen so fast. Computers keep getting faster and faster. They work on an exponential curve. The growth isn't gradual. So it's really a challenge for our traditional institutions and traditional society to adjust to how things turn into antiques so quickly. And nowadays, just the need for us to constantly retrain ourselves and adjust to new labor markets. As technology is getting more powerful, it is automating some jobs, which is good in a lot of ways, but it's also bad for the workers who, see their job disappear and may struggle to, say, retrain themselves or move on to a better career.
So what are some of the biggest jobs that are going to, that are at risk from all this innovation?
Yeah, a lot of driving-related jobs are look to be in trouble, whether that's delivery men, garbage truck drivers, truck drivers. That's an area that could be really problematic. And it's not just all blue-collar jobs. There will also be some white-collar jobs affected, like radiologists. Certain tasks we do are really well-suited to the cutting edge of artificial intelligence. There's been great advances in computer vision. So, yeah, the implications of what AI and robotics can do is going to be really broad.
So when faced with this, a lot of big companies, the CEOs and marketing representatives from these companies say, "Don't worry, there will be more jobs. There will be more jobs." Tell us a little bit about why that might still not be the answer for a lot of people.
Yeah, so there have always been more jobs. There was a time when we all used to work on farms, and then we transitioned away from that, and people found new work. But the situation now is that we see people keep requiring more and more intelligence, more and more education, more and more skills to hold down that middle-class job and living. I had someone say to me, the economy can't work where everyone needs a PhD to get by. Some people just may not be interested or capable in doing all of the education that's going to be necessary in order to get a job in the future, or to really have to retrain themselves, in the middle of a career.
Now, the World Economic Forum has estimated that 5 million jobs are going to be lost by 2020. What can somebody, especially when you're talking about these certain areas that are particularly at risk of being affected by this, what can people that are in those positions do to protect themselves from this? Is it just as a blunt force sort of solution as just get a different career and do whatever it takes to do that? Or do you have any suggestions on that regard?
Well, I think it's good to look into potential retraining programs, and also to think about the type of work you do, and is it something that a machine could be doing? I think just keep an eye out, understanding your industry and your world, and seeing have computers started to impact this? Are a lot of people cautioning that that things are going to get worse in your field in terms of employment opportunities? Ultimately, there is a lot of potential for people who can work really effectively with the cutting edge tools. For example, maybe you are a driver and maybe your job could be at stake. It may be gone in 15 years. We don't know exactly when, but there may be a way for you to transition to say, hey, now I was a driver, I'm going to become someone who manages a fleet of driverless cars. And because I am someone who adapts to change and is willing to learn new things, that you can kind of stay relevant and find a place in the world.
And education is obviously another thing that's becoming more important. It's not enough maybe even to get like just a college, a community college degree. But I mean, I hear a lot of anxiety about STEM. And we need to teach kids STEM. Kids need to be coding. It's a lot of being pounded into our heads. And I mean, I am a firm believer in technology. I love it. But what about like all the ethics? Like what about teaching kids philosophy and the humanities? And I mean, someone has to program these algorithms. Someone has to still know like what's fake news and what's real news.
Right.
So what do you think about that?
Yeah, STEM isn't the end all and be all. I mean, those skills are super valuable. There are great jobs out there. But hey, look at one of the most successful people in the world recently. Look at Steve Jobs. He was a liberal arts guy. And yeah, the world isn't all just about, being really good at STEM. You also need, interpersonal skills, just having that kind of emotional intelligence and understanding the arts and things is super valuable. Some people talk about not STEM, but STEAM, in which you basically add an A for the arts into the acronym. So.
A lot of people in Silicon Valley and elsewhere as well have been murmuring about universal basic income. It's not really a tech topic, but it really is something that people are looking more and more towards as we have more and more automation, more and more robots stealing our jobs, which is no longer as funny as it used to be. Can you talk a little bit about what universal basic income is and explain a little bit about why you think it might or might not work?
Yeah, so the idea has been around a while, and essentially with the universal basic income, you would pay every citizen in your country a regular stipend. So every month you might just get $1,000 or $1,500, and the idea is to give this money to people so that we guarantee a certain standard of living, and so that they can really pay their bills and find kind of a meaningful life and provide for themselves. So it's been floated by a lot of people and suggested that, hey, one day we're going to need a universal basic income. The question is, how will it work? Can we make it work? And there are a lot of questions there. We haven't seen anyone really pull this off on a large scale, but there are some pilot programs being struck up around the world. And it's, it seems to be somewhat of a promising solution, but it's unclear how we would pay for it, where the money comes from, and also how we prevent against making sure that everyone doesn't kind of become a slacker or just freeloading. We still would need some people to work to drive the economy.
Mm-hmm. So we can't all just disappear into our VR goggles and call it a day?
Yeah, unfortunately not.
Not yet.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for writing this piece on CNN and for coming on to talk to us about it. What's your beat on CNN?
Yeah, my beat is innovation and transportation. So, there's a lot of exciting stuff happening there, and I love it. So.
Right.
Well, thanks, Matt. Matt is at Matt McFarland on Twitter, and you can also find him on CNN on the web. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you for having me.